Hi everyone, welcome to Amberbrook Puddle. For the month of June, we'll be exploring the topic of overseas volunteerism. And so Amanda and I were thinking, hey, it might be useful for us to share with you our own personal thoughts and views on overseas volunteerism, so we might be able to better appreciate where we're coming from when we share with you our own opinions and perspectives. Amongst the two of us, I would say I'm more cynical. I had very negative experiences with overseas volunteerism in the past, and perhaps the most negative one I had was the first trip I ever went on. As a first timer and someone who was really busy, there were lots of project deadlines coming up. My exams were around the same time as well, so I didn't give it much thought, I didn't plan much, and I thought we were going to do some good. My reasoning back then was, some aid was better than no aid, and of course all of us know that isn't true, necessarily true right now. There were many negative experiences during the trip itself, but the one that stood out most for me was when we were having lunch during one of the last few days we were there. We visited one of the village schools which we were working with, and we had just finished a long morning of doing some gardening and teaching the children some English, and so we gathered in the classroom for lunch. It was a small classroom. It was very dark. There's a few windows with sunlight coming in, and the principals and teachers brought in some food for us. It was very modest fare, some rice, meat, eggs and vegetables cooked in oil. And I remember some of my friends were complaining about how bad the food was, and asking why they had to suffer. Then the school bells rang midway through our meal, and the students gathered outside the classroom. There was a huge group grabbing at the windows, and at that time I remember the windows had two large iron bars across the frame, and it looked a lot like prison bars to me. The children were grabbing at the bars, reaching their hands in, and they wanted some of the food. And that was when I realized the food that we thought was terrible was much better than what the children were used to on a daily basis. The village had gone all out to give us the best they could afford, and it was giving resources that to people who couldn't appreciate it. And even worse, upon thinking back, I knew we weren't doing any good. The English we were teaching them was useless. There's no way they're going to use the bits and pieces of English we were teaching them. There's no way that the trenches we dug for them were going to be of any use because they were so terribly built. We had no experience of this, and so we were wasting the time, wasting the resources, and giving nothing back in return. So that really spoke to me. I completely changed my mind about overseas volunteerism and started giving it a lot more thought. I went for this for the longest time. I went on this personal crusade against overseas volunteerism. Everyone I met, I would share with them my negative experiences, try to persuade them out of it. I even had this set of slides which I'll bring around and give talks and presentations on the harms and evils of overseas volunteerism. Lots of people agreed. They said, yes, overseas volunteerism might not be the way to go, might not be very effective, we're wasting a lot of resources, and we might not even be helping the people over there. But at the end of the day, no one changed their mind. Everyone just went on for the trips, and I felt really frustrated. Why would they agree and still continue going on? And then I thought, this is human nature. No one in the right mind is going to cancel a trip that they're planning for half a year, for 1 year, just because they think that it might not succeed. I was guilty of this as well. I had several local projects which I knew midway through was definitely not going to succeed. It was going to do much more harm than good. It was going to waste a lot of resources, but for the sake of all the work I had put in before, and for the sake of my teammates who had worked so hard, I just pushed through. And so, from that point I decided to change my track. If I couldn't dissuade people from doing overseas volunteerism, the least I could do was try to convince them or persuade them to improve the programs they're giving, not to go over there for some fun trip and slap the words overseas volunteerism just for the sake of feeling good about ourselves. So what I did was I shared several articles I found online, shared my thoughts, my opinions from my friends who were going overseas, in the hopes of helping them improve whatever programs they had. So my most recent project was called Operation Wyvern Flight, and it started relatively modestly. It's a very simple project. One of my friends came up to me one day and said, I'm going for an overseas trip soon. Can you give me some materials to read while I'm there? so I can reflect, because I don't really reflect that much, and I would really like to. So I went online, looked for some articles, and wrote my own opinions over them, and stuffed them into envelopes for my friend. And I was thinking, what a waste if I just give it to one person. Why not use these materials and share it with my friends? And so I shared with much more people, giving them the letters to read while they were on their trips as well. And so my hopes then was that, while you're immersed in the experience and they read the letters, they reflect much more effectively and find more meaning in what they do. And so right now, as we do this video series, or whatever you call it, my aims are still the same. I'm not here to profess how great or how bad overseas volunteerism is. My only goal is hopefully to put you through a series of reflections, provoke thought, and hopefully from there help you improve your projects indirectly. So after this revelation, if you will, I decided to give myself another shot at doing overseas volunteerism, because I thought it wasn't very fair for me to be criticizing it and condemning it based on one single negative experience or whatever I could read online. And of course, I was much more careful with the trips I chose this time around. I had a great honor of working with and learning from people who had true hearts of service for the communities they served overseas. I'm still not saying that overseas projects are a great idea. I still don't believe in just flinging lots of money into the ocean just to reach some distant land for 2 weeks. But there's great potential for what overseas projects can do, and that's something I believe in. So perhaps you had similar experiences as I did. Perhaps you agree with me, disagree with me. Feel free to leave me a comment in the comment box below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If not, leave me a message on Facebook at our Facebook page at facebook.com/ambrook.sg. I think you should know how to spell it by now. I spelled it in the last video. Let me just check it out. Alright, so until next time, bye bye.